How can there be good people? By Krishna's mercy. Shri Prahlad Uvach Varam Vare Etatte Vardeshan Maheshwar Yad Nindat Pitame Tvam Vidvanstej Ashwaram Vidhamarshashaya Sakshat Sarvalok Gurum Prabhum Bhratriheti Mrisha Drishtistvad Bhakte Mai Chaghavan Tasmat Pitame Puyet Durantad Dustrad Ghat Putaste Pangasandrishtastada Kripanvatsal. Quote, Prahlada Maharaja said, O Supreme Lord, because you are so merciful to the fallen souls, I ask you for only one benediction. I know that my father, at the time of his death, had already been purified by your glance upon him, but because of his ignorance of your beautiful power and supremacy, he was unnecessarily angry at you, falsely thinking that you were the killer of his brother. Thus he directly blasphemed your Lordship, the spiritual master of all living beings, and committed heavily sinful activities directed against me, your devotee. I wish that he be excused for these sinful activities. Shrimad Bhagavatam 7:10, 15-17.
In contemplating the story of Prahlada Maharaj, as made famous by Vaishnava Acharyas, as documented in sacred texts such as Vishnu Puran and Bhagavad Puran, I find myself wondering what was the most amazing aspect. Sort of like when the analysts and supporters look to find the best season or stretch of years for a particular athlete. When they are inducted into a hall of fame, when we think of Prahlad and all the wonderful things he did, just which one stands out the most? Now, for the yogis, the obvious would be the survival through trials and tribulations created by the inimical father. Prahlad was only 5 years of age at the time, mind you. Hiranyakashipu was in the most powerful seat in the world. That is until he found the seat of the lion man named Narsingh. An expert yogi can hold their breath for an extended period of time, but can they survive the weight of heavy boulders placed on top of them while lying on the surface of the ocean? Children would appreciate Prahlad's kindness towards others in how he actually loved his father. Materialists might like the fact that Prahlad unseated a person of great authority, although unintentionally. To me, the most amazing aspect is the forgiveness. I have really been thinking about this. Not only would I not want to forgive someone who tortured me so, needlessly, and without cause, but I would never want to think of that person again. If they have been vanquished, then fine. That should be the end of the ordeal. It was different with Prahlad. The Supreme Personality of Godhead was so pleased with the boy that a boon had to be insisted upon. Narsingh asked Prahlad to take some benediction. Prahlad acquiesced and looked for relief from any future negative consequences for the father, who was now slain. I was speculating that if the father was still around, he likely would not appreciate the gesture. He would think that Prahlad was up to something. The father would be suspicious. He would never even understand that level of kindness and compassion. Therefore, what is the point? If the person you are trying to rescue will never appreciate you, why try to help them at all?
This is indeed something worth contemplating. Imagine that we did something good for someone. We helped them out. They never asked for our favor. We just thought it would be something nice to do in seeing how they were struggling. They received the benefit. They experienced the benefit. One day they happened to find out the source of the benefit. Upon learning that we are responsible, they still curse at us. They don't like us, you see. They don't appreciate what we did for them. In knowing that potential ungratefulness, would we still act? With Prahlad, there is no question. Vishnu is the supreme witness, after all. Vishnu could later relay the kind act to the beneficiary. Hiranyakashipu, in his newly liberated state, could learn of what happened. Then there is the potential for appreciation or continued animosity. To Prahlad, it would not matter. Prahlad was already helped by the greatest person. Prahlad had already won the favor of the person whose favor matters most. The child still asked for pardon for the father, who deserved everything he got when Narsingh spontaneously emerged from the pillar and tore apart that dreaded leader of the Daityas. Narsingh accomplished the task with ease, using just his nails. Hariha suresho narlok pujito, hitaya lokasya characharasya. Krithva virupam chapuratma mayaya hiranyakam duhkaram nakhaish chinnat. Quote, Sri Hari, who is the Lord of the demigods, who is worshipped by the people of the world, for benefiting the moving and non-moving beings of the world, took that dreadful form through his own energy and tore apart Hiranyakashipu, who caused suffering to so many, with his nails. Narsingh Puran 44:43. A distinction to note in this case is that Hiranyakashipu could not understand the presence of someone good. Everyone had to be in the game as he was. Everyone must have some sort of angle, something they are looking to exploit. By Prahlad praising Vishnu and teaching the other students in school the science of self-realization, the endgame must be related to a rivalry. The child must have viewed the father as an adversary. The child was exploiting the known vulnerability in how Hiranyakashipu hated Vishnu. In this way, the father found sufficient justification for eliminating the child, who happened to be his own son. Prahlad carried a different vision. He understood good and bad in the manner of context switching. He understood why Hiranyakashipu was inimical. Prahlad tried to correct the father. Rather than pound the victim into submission, compelling them to believe something they are staunchly against, perhaps logic and reasoning could make a difference. The ignorance could be eliminated. The potential for enlightenment was there. Shri Prahlad Uvach, Matirna Krishna Parat, Svatova, Mitobhipadyet Grihvratanam, Adanta Gobhir Vishatam Tamisram, Pun Punascharvita Charvananam. Quote, Prahlada Maharaja replied, because of their uncontrolled senses, persons too addicted to materialistic life make progress toward hellish conditions and repeatedly chew that which has already been chewed. Their inclinations toward Krishna are never aroused, either by the instructions of others, by their own efforts, or by a combination of both. Shrimad Bhagavatam 7.530. Since Prahlad understood why Hiranyakashipu was so inimical, there was no lasting enmity. If I know that someone is suffering from a disease and therefore not behaving as they should, I will not take it personally if they offend me. I will correctly identify the disease as the root cause for the offending behavior. For Hiranyakashipu, the ailment was a jitendriya. Though the leader of the world, comfortable in a position of near immortality, the senses were controlling him. Narsingha eventually cured that condition with his personal presence, and Prahlad subsequently asked for amnesty for the father. Sa itham nirjita kubekrad vishyan priyan, yathop josham bhunjano natripyada jitendriya. Quote, in spite of achieving the power to control in all directions and in spite of enjoying all types of dear sense gratification as much as possible, Hiranyakashipu was dissatisfied because instead of controlling his senses, he remained their servant. Shrimad Bhagavatam 7.419. In closing, most astonishing request insisted at his behest. That for inimical father slain, liberation to yogis the same, that entire ordeal to forgive, despite with torture to live. Because Prahlad the condition could tell that father due to senses fell.